my channel, Crunchy Mary Quite Contrary, and today is my very first video. It's going to be my little introduction video. I'm going to tell you guys about myself, who I am, my background, and then I'm just going to talk a little bit about why being crunchy is my thing and why being contrary is my thing. I don't really know why being contrary is my thing. I'm a rebellious person, I guess. Anyways, I digress. Let's jump in. My name is Mary. I live in the Pacific Northwest with my husband and my 3 beautiful children. My husband and I met in college. He was the homeschool farm boy, but a very cool version. And I was just a weird nerd from Nashville. So we met in college. He obviously grew up farming and he grew up with a ton of siblings, and his mom was very crunchy. He knew a lot about the world of being crunchy and health, whereas I didn't really know anything about the world of health / the health industry. I wasn't necessarily an unhealthy person. I just had never done any research and I hadn't looked into anything. I just kind of did what everyone told me was healthy and I believed what everyone said was healthy. So jump forward a few years, we dated, we got married, and still didn't really know anything about health. We just kind of lived life, and we weren't really exercising. We weren't eating badly or anything. We just, again, didn't know anything about health. So then I got pregnant with my first child, my son, and nothing really changed. Just kind of ate however I wanted to eat and just lived life the way I wanted. I didn't exercise when I was pregnant. And then he was born and he was a whopping 10.5 pounds. And I won't go into it, but you do not want this labor experience. It was no bueno. And I was like, it has to be because he's so huge. Now I know people who've had big babies and have had no issues, but I was just like, it has to be the size. So I had him, and then I was like, never again will I have a child because I don't want to have these giant babies. And my mom only had giant babies. So I was like, it must be genetic. And so I'm just never going to have another child. That didn't last very long. So jump forward about 4 months and we found out 4 months postpartum, 4 months since I had my last baby. I wasn't even recovered from having my son yet. And we found out that we were pregnant with baby number 2. Total surprise. Oh my word. I was stressed. Honestly, I think I had a little PTSD from my son's birth. It was a rough time. Obviously, I was excited to be pregnant and I was excited to be a mom of 2 babies, but I was not excited about the prospect of having another 10.5 pound baby pushed out into the world. So I went to my doctor and I asked him, is there a way to make a smaller baby by exercising or cutting out junk food or anything, but still making sure that I'm nourishing my baby and I'm not restricting my calorie intake? I want to make sure the baby is fed and as fat as they want to be, but also I'm wondering if exercising and cutting out junk will just make sure that the baby is healthy. I also don't want to be making my baby unhealthy just because I'm eating a bunch of crap. And my doctor said, no, there's nothing you can do to create a smaller baby or really help your baby's experience throughout utero. So I decided to do it anyways because I'm contrary. And I can ask a health person questions, but if they don't tell me the answer I want to hear, I'm going to go research it and I'm going to figure out what works best for me because I'm in charge of my health. Anyways, so I got a membership to our local gym. I started working out 4 to 5 times a week and I cut out junk foods and sugar. I didn't minimize my calorie intake at all. I actually was eating more food because I was trying to keep up my milk supply while I was pregnant. I just cut out my junk foods and my sugar. So I went through my entire pregnancy, working out, eating a little healthier. I still hadn't done much research into, what healthy living was, but I started to feel this guilt about using toxic chemicals, or just chemicals. I didn't know they were toxic yet. Using chemicals while I was cleaning the bathroom when I was pregnant. Because I was looking at the warning labels and I was like, oh my goodness, if there's all these terrifying warnings on the back for adults. How bad is this for my like unborn child who's in utero? And I was like, maybe I should look up some of these ingredients. So I started looking up some of the ingredients in our cleaners and found out that they are very toxic. And, you know, you breathe them in, they definitely do get into your uterus, they affect your child. And I was like, not going near those. So I had my husband clean the bathrooms until I could find like a cheap natural cleaner. So I found one. Looking back, it probably wasn't the best cleaner just because it was like so dirt cheap. It probably honestly was about just as toxic as the regular stuff, but I was trying. And again, I hadn't done any research, you guys. I didn't know anything. So that was my first big health epiphany, was toxic chemicals are in cleaning products that the health industry tells us are safe, and they promote those things. So that was kind of the first time that I ever realized maybe the industry of health isn't being completely honest with us about what is actually good for us and what's not good for us. So that was my first epiphany, toxic chemicals. So then I go through my pregnancy. Before I had her, when I was like about in the middle, like the second trimester, I started to all of a sudden have these really bad contractions. And they were really inconsistent, like 1 to 2 times a week. I would get super bad contractions that were like painful in my like gut and really crampy. And I was very confused about what was happening. And I was really concerned that I was going into preterm labor. And then I realized that the days where I would have these really painful contractions were the same days that I was putting cream in my coffee. So I decided to try to cut out the cream from my coffee to see if the contractions would go away. Sure enough, cut out the cream, the contractions went away. They weren't actually contractions at all, I don't think. It was just really bad cramping and pain in my gut because I had all of a sudden magically developed a sensitivity to dairy. I had never had issues with dairy before in my life, and then all of a sudden it just developed out of nowhere. So I asked my doctor about it. He was super confused. He had no idea why that would be. I asked another doctor. He said the same thing. So then I was like, why does nobody know what's going on with my body right now? I'm pregnant. You're a pregnancy doctor. You should be able to tell me what's going on. So I started researching for myself. So anyways, jump back forward. I get to the end. I've been working out the whole time. I have my baby, my second baby, my girl, one of my girls, my oldest girl. I, had her. They took her to measure her and to weigh her and all this stuff. They brought her back to me. And by the way, it was a dream birth, like wonderful. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And they brought her to me, they put her on my chest, and they told me that she only weighed 7 pounds. And I just burst into tears. I was like, oh my goodness, it worked. Like, I exercised the whole time, I was super fit, and I cut out sugars and junk foods, and the baby is 3.5 pounds lighter. That's a 3.5 pound difference. That's a big difference. So I found out that I was actually nourishing her better, and I was creating a healthier environment for my daughter, and she was just as healthy as my son when she was born, but she was so much smaller. And so then I was like, oh man, I could do this all day. So that was my daughter. She was the most adorable little baby in the whole world. And a few months after she was born, I started realizing that if I ate any dairy at all, she started having issues as well. She would get really gassy, really colicky. You could tell that her tummy was just like tight. It was hard when you pushed on it. I could just tell that dairy was not reacting with her well at all. So I cut it out, and then all of a sudden the colic went away. All of her digestion issues went away, and life was peachy again. So the dairy issue that I was having transferred to my daughter somehow. Now I'll go into that another day. But I was like, how is that even possible that not an allergy, a like random sensitivity that I've never had in my life just passed from me to my child? So we didn't feed my son or my daughter dairy. We didn't feed them gluten because my son was showing some signs of being sensitive to gluten. which in fact, it turns out I am also sensitive as well. A couple of years later, we had our third child, little Marigold. She's our 1-year-old, and no issues with her birth or pregnancy or anything like that. I was eating healthy the whole time. I was moving my body the whole time, and I was avoiding the foods that I thought I was sensitive to the whole time to make sure that, she wasn't being affected by those things as well. She wasn't being affected by those things as well. So now all 3 of our kids, they can't eat gluten, they can't eat dairy. Also Marigold can't really handle coconut or eggs very well. So that was something that I learned. My second epiphany first was chemicals in your cleaning products are toxic and not good for you. And the second thing was that not only are some foods bad for you, but some foods are really, really good for you and can actually help you heal your body if you're having issues. So that was kind of the second thing that I noticed about health that I hadn't heard before, was that all doctors told me that it doesn't really matter what you eat, just try to avoid the really big, obvious things. But none of them ever told me about things like organic foods or locally grown foods or the ratio of meats that you should be eating to vegetables to fruits to sugar, all that sort of thing. I had to do all of that research myself and find out all of these things for myself, because my doctors, couldn't really give me an answer. They were just like, oh, just kind of do whatever you want. And if you feel like something's wrong, then you can come in. And, that's why I've became so crunchy, is because I wasn't satisfied with that answer. I was contrary about it. I've always been a little bit of a rebellious person at nature when it comes to authority. If you don't prove to me that you know what you're talking about, then I don't believe you. So I did a whole bunch of research myself and was like, no, I'm taking my health into my own hands. I'm not going to wait until I have all of these terrible symptoms before I pursue health. I'm going to try to pursue health before I have the issues so that they don't come to be. So anyways, I realized all of this too late in a lot of ways. Before I realized all these things about toxic chemicals and eating healthy and moving your body was the big third one that I realized, with my small baby, is that moving your body is really helpful for you and for your kids and for your family. It's just a good thing. Now I say move your body. I'm not going to say a specific type of exercise, because everyone needs different types of exercise. Everyone enjoys different types of exercise, but just moving your body is so beneficial for your health. Oh man, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, anyway, so before I realized these 3 things, I had already developed some autoimmune issues from nowhere. I had leaky gut. I have hypothyroidism. My liver is shot. It's basically, sorry, you can hear my husband walking around upstairs. My liver is in super bad shape. And so I asked my doctor about those things, and my doctor just wanted to give me prescriptions and medications to try to fix those issues / just mask or band-aid the symptoms. I wasn't super happy with that option. So instead, I tried to research how to heal your body from the inside out. Can you do it with food? Can you do it with exercise? Can you do it with cutting out toxins in your life, or drinking healthier water, or eating organic foods? I started researching all of this stuff and asking questions of naturopaths and chiropractors and friends who were really knowledgeable about the health industry, and just trying to figure out the truth about health from a wider perspective than just the health industry people who are getting paid to treat problems. And that was kind of when I asked the question, if they want us to be healthy, if the goal is for people to be healthy, why is it that they only get paid when we're sick, right? They don't get paid when we're just healthy, living our lives, never going to checkups, never going to see them. They make the money when we are hospitalized, or when we have to have prescriptions, or when we have to go to the doctor because we all of a sudden developed this random food sensitivity or this autoimmune disease. If we're just living our lives and not sick, then the health industry ceases to exist. So that's when I started asking the question, do they actually want us to be healthy? Why aren't they telling us to eat healthier foods for things like cancer or diabetes? Why aren't they telling us to work out if we're, unhealthy, or we feel sludgy, or we feel depressed, why are they telling us to just, and again, I'm not saying that, and I'm not a proponent of no health industry. Obviously, people need medications and people need prescriptions. But I was just interested in learning, can you also try to heal your body from the inside out by cutting out certain things like toxic chemicals or adding in certain things like healthier foods? So that's what I want to show you guys with this channel, is just all of the knowledge that I have gathered and all of the research that I have done into health and what health actually is and being healthy actually is. So we're gonna bust some myths about health. We're gonna talk about the health industry and why they push us towards certain things that may not actually be the right answer, and just talk about health in general, healthy habits and that sort of thing. So I'm really excited to go on this journey with you guys. I'm so excited to host this channel. This is like my dream, you guys. You don't even understand. So I'm gonna try to put out videos for you consistently. If you have questions about health, feel free to request certain videos. I'm really excited to just build a community around this, build a community around crunchy living, build a community around being contrary to the health industry and really asking the question, is this true, of the things that we've heard about health for so long? So there you go. That's me. That's a little bit about my life. Obviously, you guys will get to know me a little bit better with each video that I do. But again, I'm just so excited to do this channel for you guys. And I'm excited to just keep the content coming and the conversation going. So I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.